Okay, students, we're back. I'm here with my stepdaughter, my special victim, to do acrylic fills on, because after a while they do grow out a bit, and then you know you need to work on the back end. In other words, by the eponychium. So what we're going to do right now, real quick, we're going to sanitize our hands, and I'm just going to be working on the one hand on the video. I will be finishing this up off the video. You need a paper towel?
No.
I'll be finishing this up off the video, but I want you to see pretty much the same thing's going to be done to the opposite hand once I finish it. So what we did, we removed your polish, and again, you remember when you remove polish, you put the cotton between your fingers, and then you're going to use your polish remover. You're going to place it, roll, 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 press, pull. So place, roll, 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 press, pull. And then when you're finished, you put it in your little trash bag. So we've already removed the polish on this, but what I want you to see, now she's only got one that's lifting a bit that I'm going to have to nip a little bit. And what happens, I don't know if you can see it or not, but what happens is, and I'm going to press a little bit, Stacy, so I'm trying not to hurt you. You can see where that kind of turns, lifts up just a bit. If you can get it real close, cameraman, so they can see it as I do this. That's going to be nipped off. Now on the others, they're holding up real well. You can see that the nail bed will turn a little bit red. That's how far they've grown out. So she's got a pretty good outgrowth there. So all we're going to buff up is just that at the eponychium or the base of the nail. Her tips have stayed nice. She's really kept them up really, really nice. So we couldn't ask for more on that. So what I'm going to do, what did I do with my new buffer? Oh, it's right here. Couldn't see it for the black cloth. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, for this, now let me know if I hurt you, Stace. Just don't scream too loud. We are on video. Okay, so gently, with this part of your blade, and again, this is the one time you hold it in this form because you're on top of the nail. You're not coming in like this to take it off because you can't get in there to control it correctly. So you're going to see how it goes underneath. I'm going to give it a pinch.
You're not expecting anybody, right?
No, you want to go see?
Yeah, it's focused in.
Okay. So as you can see, I'm just gently pushing this forward to get, I'm sorry, to get, did I get you? Oh.
Shot me in the
And
face.
sometimes it's good to wear protective eyewear when you do this, because they do fly, those pieces do fly all over the place. So what I'm going to do now, this has created now a rough edge, a squared off. See how the buffer kind of lays on it? See how it stops on it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rough up that nail. Let me move my liquid so it doesn't spill over. I'm going to rough up that nail just like I would. And doing a fill is actually pretty simple. Then I'm going to go over and create a smooth edge around that end so that you can feel the corner. I want to remove that corner. What was it?
There's a client there.
Who is it?
Albert.
Oh, Albert. Oh, tell him to come in.
Well, he's in the house.
Okay, just let him watch football, whatever. Forgot about my nephew. My nephew's here for a haircut. Okay, so it's smooth. It doesn't need to be brought down. Many times they bring it down too far and it creates, it actually creates a bit of a, that's where you get those horizontal furrows on the nail when they bring it down too far. All you need to do is round it out, rough that up. Now this nail is fine. It's not lifting, so I'm just going to buff that. When it lifts, you can tell. I'm going to take my nipper again. Yeah, there's nothing coming up. Nothing coming up. We're good. On this one, nope, nothing coming up. You don't force it. And then I'm just going to rough it up. just along that eponychium where it's at. So you can see, I'm going to feel it, it's right there. So what you're doing is you're raising the cuticle on that new nail bed. And they stayed beautifully on her. Now she's a licensed hairstylist, so she knows how to keep them up at home and buff them, smooth them out and so on. So she does real well with that. And that's kind of the things that you teach your client. Okay, I'm going to use this brush to buff that off, still yet drying it. And you can see that little bit of powder coming off. And this is so easy. Now, the only time that it might take a little bit longer is if you're having to nip on each one because they're lifting. So you have to be careful about that. Now I'm going to put the Band-Aid on it. And I'm going to apply it twice. Again, you can see that my hands are underneath. Now I have to be careful not to touch now that nail bed, because I'll get my natural oils on it and then it will lift. And then let me do this one. And can you see these real good, dear?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So now it's no different. It's no different than when we do our acrylics and we do the back end of it. So I'm going to place my brush, lay it flat, scrape the side, bring this up, so where we have a little bit of a mound, come up, back. All I need is about a medium one. Again, I'm going to lay it there, wipe off my brush, let that run a bit, bring the brush straight on, and bring it out. Very gently, like you're smoothing out whipped cream and making it look smooth without any lines. So you need to be very gentle with it. And keep in mind that your brush cannot have any residue on it. You leave residue on the brush, product has no brains. So now we're going to come up, place that, bring it down, and like I said, it's not different. All we're doing now, and you bring it out to the ends, it's the same thing, same process. And we might have enough time, because this is taking no time at all. I have a little twig right there or something. We may go ahead and do the other hand. You notice I keep wiping off my brush. I let that run a little bit. Now the elevation of the brush is straight up now to get it inside into the eponychium, into the nail wall, so it doesn't create that round bump on the end of it. And that's what a fill is about. I'm going to get it nice and wet with that little more liquid on there.
Edge right over here.
Oh, it's got some right there too?
Yeah.
Okay, let me make sure that we have enough of this on there and bring that up so it attaches. So see, this doesn't take long. We're not having to form a tip. And this is where you tell your client, if you book every 2 weeks, I give you a little bit of a discount. And you give them their discount. Okay, and the last one. And you see that my beads have not been very big. Let that run a bit. Take it all the way down to the end. lift up my brush, straight up, vertical, and that's part of the practice on it, for you to get a hold of that brush and you get the feel of the product you're using, and you also get the feel of the liquid and the nails. Almost, I think that's ready, so I can touch it. Okay, I got a little bit of an inversion there, so I'm going to add just a tiny drop. I can feel it. Remember, your thumb becomes your third eye, so I want that to fill it. I'm going to let it run a bit. Make my brush flat so when I pull it out, covers it. Let me feel the next one. Yep. Nope, this one feels really, just a scotch right on the center there. And let your thumb feel, let your thumb move and do what it needs to do. It's getting little fibers in there. I did this one already, right? Yep. No, that's the one I
That's
did.
the one you're doing.
Just a little dot. And look at how tiny that bead is that I'm going to put right at that center eponychium, just right in there. Let it run a bit to fill that little gap, and then bring it out. Yep, they're ready. Feel it? Okay, again, just a scotch right there. Again, tiny, tiny bead. And do the next one. Right at the center of the nail bed, right here, and let it run a bit. Okay. And we just put a little bit more on there, and that's it. Let's look at the thumb. It's still wet, but it feels good. I think right on the side there.
There's still a gap there.
Okay, yeah, I see it. And see, she's got a good eye for it. Now see how I'm bracing? To put that right there in that tiny little gap. And you brace, you place your finger there, so you're not just aiming, you've got a little bit of a brace there, and it helps you spread that real nice. Okay, so let's go back to the pinky finger, and let's take a look at that and see how it is. Still feel just a bit of an indentation there. So right at the center, not very big bead. Place it. Let it run. I'm going to point her finger down because I want it to run down. I don't want it to go back into the eponychium. Now I'm going to take it and let that set a bit. Tap it and then bring it out. Always make sure and clean your brush. That's why you see them cleaning the brush all the time. Those are your tools to do what you need to do with. I think I've got just a bit of a thin spot right here. And again, teeny, 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 tiny bead. See it? Let it run. I've got her finger turned so that it runs in that direction. And spread it down. Okay. Again, I can feel just that little inversion right there. And these are the minute things that you have to do Not very big bead. Leave it there. Point the finger down so it doesn't go back into the eponychium and create that ridge. Come in, the brush is completely vertical into it, and bring it out. Okay, let's feel this one. I think it's okay, but I am going to add just a tiny dot. And that's why I had you practice all those different beads. Made the big one first, but this is your why on that. I always tell you why to do those things. Now this, okay, right there at the center. I knew there was something going on there. All right, and sometimes you have to wait for it to totally dry. Place it, let it run, hold the finger down just a scotch, leave it set a minute. Remember, it has no brains. It's just going to do what it's going to do. So I'm tapping each side before I stroke it out. So it smooths out the sides. Okay, I'm going to place just a little bit right there. Real close to the eponychium, still holding her finger down. And she did a beautiful job with the maintenance on this. Okay. Alrighty then. Very nice. Okay. Nice. Now, if your application is correct, there's just a little bit of buffing that needs to happen. I feel a little spot right there at the very center of the top of that center area at the nail bed right there, right by the free edge. Again. Tap the side, bring it out. And you stroke the whole nail when you bring it out, as you've noticed. Okay, let's make sure we got this. Yep, we got this down. Perfect. Okay, so now what we're going to do, make sure my brush is clean. Wipe it. Check it. Sometimes you can feel a little bit of a graininess, but that isn't going to do anything. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our coarse file and we're going to give it a light buff. Get those ends in there, because we got the residue. See, I don't know if you can see it or not, but we got the residue from brushing it out. So we're going to buff that in. I like the way you shaped them. You shaped them really nice. So she pretty much takes care of her own stuff. So just a quick buff to get rid of all of those little, we call them like little filters in there. Smooth them out a bit. I'm using the coarse end of the file. Then I turn it and use the smooth end of the file. And the back and forth stroking is perfectly fine on top of an acrylic. You would not do that on a regular nail. Very nice. We've got a little rough edge right here. Clean that up. And just a scotch there. Very gently. Okay. This one feels really good. And you never know. I keep my brush out just in case I feel something else that does not feel like a regular nail. And you can see, you look at hers and you wouldn't believe that they're not real. You would think they were her nails. And that's what makes it nice. Okay, a little bit right there. When you get into the nail wall or into the eponychium, give it just a soft touch. You don't need to get real heavy into it. When you're on top, you can see that we're moving a little heavier with it. That's perfectly fine. Okay, this feels really good. Again, what I'm doing right now is there's tiny little bumps, tiny little grooves. I'm smoothing it out. And then get those little brush strokes out. Okay. Very nice, a little bit there. And like I said, you see me feeling it with the thumb all the time. And my thumb tells me what I need to do. You don't do this. Look at the time it takes to do this, where you're already there. You just bring the thumb down. And you know, your time is money. Excuse me, so you want to make sure that you can do the best you can with all that you have. I see a tiny little indentation there. See it?
Yep.
Yeah, just a tiny spot. I'm going to put some more nail primer on that. Just a corner right there that we missed. So that's where you have to be careful. And that again is why we keep the brush out for just a sec. And what'll happen when you have something like that, that's a reason for it to lift. Now I'm just barely going to tap that in there, dry my brush, and see, I wouldn't have seen it otherwise, other than feeling it with my thumb, coming across. There, now she's all the way down to the nail wall and back into the eponychium. We're going to let that dry. Clean my brush. Then we're going to take the buffer. There you go. Feels just as smooth as a regular nail. Very, very little maintenance. She likes clear polish on it. It doesn't hurt from that nail lifting, does it? Okay, I feel a little edge right there that I'm going to take off.
There's a little bit on that end too.
Right here. Do you see it right there?
On the end.
Here?
It's kind of bubbled up on the edge. See it?
Oh, I see it now, yeah. Usually when we do nails, we have a light right in front of us, on top of us, so we're just doing this for the video. I'm going to pick this up again. And my stepdaughter's a perfectionist, I'm sorry. So she does a great job with it, and she could actually do these on her own. She's so good at it. But she lets us victimize her here. Okay. So once you're done with this, students, once you're done with the buffing, and everything looks good, everything feels good, and it's falling into place, then you're going to put, and I don't have it in front of me, I think it's in my cabinet, going to use this other buffer to give it a nice clear shine. You can see that. I'm going to use my, here it is, this to get rid of any excess powder. Get in there, and that's what's nice about this. It's soft. And you can see how nice and natural that nail looks. So we could put a little bit of cuticle oil on this. You have all those tools. And then if you want, then you would put a clear coat polish on it. We're not going to, the thing that's nice about it, with the acrylics, you don't need a base coat. The reason for the base coat is to help hold that polish on. You've got your acrylics, polish just stays on real nice. You don't have to worry about it. So she normally goes like with a clear polish just so she can show off her pretty nails. Again, let's take that off. We can investigate it to see if there's any places that we need to put any product on. There might be just a little scotch right there. So I'm going to take care of that in just a minute, because all we have is just a few minutes left, and I just want you to see. I would add another tiny, tiny, tiny little drop right there. Let me know, cameraman, when we have about 40 seconds left. So I'm just going to keep going. So then you would just put polish on. You can put a clear coat on. And if you put a cuticle oil, you have to make sure and wipe it off before you put your polish on. The reason for that is you want a solid surface. The reason for the cuticle oil is so that your polish stays on better. Okay, now this still has a little bit of an indentation there, which I need to go back. And those are things that you're going to find. And they're going to take tiny little beads. Let me do this one first. I'm going to move the skin out of, oh, nope, prime it first. If you forget to prime it, and I've had my natural oils on there, I've had powder in there. Where was the other one? On this side, wasn't it? Yeah. And see, I'm moving the nail, I'm opening up the nail wall to that. So I can add that tiny bit in there. And those are the thinnest parts. All along the nail wall and the eponychium are the thinnest parts of the acrylic. So for hers to have stayed on so well, she did a beautiful job in keeping them on. But all I need is a tiny dot. And I'm going to open it up again, put that little dot in there. Teeny, teeny, tiny dot. There you go. And place that in there and brush it out. So we get every little nook and cranny. And then again, that one piece says, maybe I didn't want to be there. But we're saying, maybe you do. So I'm taking a little bit bigger. I'm going to place it in there. I'm going to hold the finger up so it runs back just a little bit. And then I'm going to place my brush straight in. Remember, that's the thinnest part. Press it in there nicely. And then smooth it out. So now I'm going to... 25 seconds?
45.
45 seconds? Okay, students, I think you've gotten the gist of what a fill is about. The rest of it would be the same. You would polish, you could put, if you're going to put cuticle oil on it, you just smooth it on and buff over it so that it gives it a nice shine. And then if you just want a clear coat polish on it, you can do that too. So hopefully you've gotten the information on what it's like to get a fill, and you can move forward with it. All right? The main thing is, like I said, watch out for those white spots. That's what you're going to nip off. You hold the nipper a little differently. Take care. We'll see you next time.